What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome back. Today we are going to work through 6.3 graphing absolute value functions. Um, we have been dealing with absolute value functions frequently for the past couple of lessons. We solved absolute values. Then we saw transformations of these absolute values. Now, these transformations could either go up or down. They could go left or right. And we kind of manipulated the equation to see kind of which of those values, will make it go left, make it go right, make it go up, and make it go down. So what you should have identified working through the different examples is that my H value, my A value, and my K value do something distinct to each of the graphs. So let's start with my H value. My H value is going to move my graph left or right. So we're going to call it our horizontal shift. So if we're on the beach staring at the ocean, we're looking at the what type of line? Horizon line. Okay, so that shift is going to either go left or right. So let's say that is going to be our horizontal shift. So let me get something smaller. So we're going to say it's our horizontal shift. Oh, shift. Okay, so that's our horizontal shift. Okay, so now let's talk about what our K value is. And our K value is, as you guys would see, is that our K value is going to move our graph up or down. And that shift is going to be exactly what you see. Where it's different to where the horizontal shift, there's negative here. And this negative is going to move your graph opposite of what you see. So sorry, I forgot to refer to that. So this negative is going to shift your graph opposite of what you see. This K value is going to shift it what you see. In this case, it is going to be our, not horizontal shift, but our vertical shift. Okay, so that's going to be our vertical shift. Okay, good. Now this A value is very similar to our linear equations where we would say that, okay, our line has a constant rate of change, and that constant rate of change in linear terms is called slope. But this is very similar to absolute value equations where they are also kind of like slopes. So our A value is going to adjust how narrow our graph is and how wide our graph is. So in this case, we are going to say that our A value is like our slope. Okay? So we have those three items. Now, when we go ahead and graph these absolute value equations, we might not see an A, we might not see an H, we might not see a K. And I'll kind of go through and explain what those values might mean. But in any way, if we just look at our H comma K, okay, let's look at our H comma K. So let's go here, go to our highlighter, and let's just look at H comma K. So if we look at our H and our K, that is what's going to be what our vertex is. And in this case, our vertex is always where our V comes to a V. So in either way, it's either going to be a minimum point or a maximum point. In this case, this is a minimum point. This is how low our graph is going to go. Now, if it was flipped the opposite way, going up and down, we would say that there would be a maximum point. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and go through, and we're going to actually graph these functions. We're working on transformations. Now we're going to actually graph them. So let's look at the next example. So now to graph these, I need to know what my A value is, I need to know what my H value is, I need to know what my K value is. Now, I think the easiest thing to do is to distinguish what our values are. And in these cases, I think the easiest one is to go through and say, okay, let's see what my A value is. And my A value is what is in front of our absolute value brackets. Now in this case, you don't see anything in front of the absolute value brackets. Now what number can you multiply by the absolute value brackets but can still be invisible? And when we multiply an invisible number, that number actually is not 0, but 1. Okay. Let's try to move that. All right. Oh, that's not moving. Let's undo that. In that case, let's delete that one. Sorry about that. And let's say that our A value is going to be 1. Oh, that's better. Okay, now our A value is going to be 1. Now, what's our H value? Well, our H value is opposite of what you see in the absolute value brackets. In this case, opposite of what you see a negative 4, but opposite of what you see is actually just a positive 4. So our H value is actually just going to be a positive 4, like such. Okay? Good. Okay, so our H value is going to be positive 4. Now our K value is what is being added or subtracted outside the absolute value brackets. In this case, you don't see anything. And when you're adding or subtracting a number that you don't see, what number is that? Would it be a 1 or would it be a 0? Now think about it. If you're adding a 1, it would say plus 1. But since it doesn't say plus 1, it has to be plus 0. So if the K value in this case, if it's not there, the K value is going to just be 0. Okay, now in this case, our H value, or sorry, our vertex is going to be H comma K. And H comma K in this case is what comma what? It is going to be 4 comma 0. So the first thing I want to do is plot that point. So if I was going to plot 4 comma 0, 4 comma 0 is right 1, 2, 3, 4, comma 0 is right there, right? Okay, now from that point, what's my slope? Well, if my slope is 1, that means that it's over what value? It's actually over 1. So when I talk about slope, I talk about rise over run. So I'm going to rise 1, which means I'm going to go up 1, and then run 1, which means I'm going to go right 1. So I'm going to go from that point, I'm going to go up 1 to the right 1, up 1 to the right 1. I'm going to go to that point. Now, once I have maybe like 2 or 3 points to the right of the vertex, I need to come back to the vertex. That's very, very important. And once I come back to the vertex, I need to go, now I know that my graphs are going to look like these, so these are going to be symmetrical. So now instead of going up 1 to the right 1, I'm going to go up 1 into the left 1, up 1 into the left 1, and then you can see that my graph forms a V that looks like something like that. Okay, so so the first thing I did was distinguish what my A, H, and K values are. Then I'm going to go ahead and plot what my H comma K is, or my vertex. In that case, it was 4 comma 0. And then I'm going to go ahead and move amongst the slope. So let's try it again. So in this case, let's look at each of these values. So do I have an A value? Just like I said, if there's nothing in front of the absolute value brackets, then your A value is just going to be 1. Okay? Now, let's try to move that. There we go. Okay, so now my A value is going to be 1. Now, what's my H value? My H value is what's inside the absolute value brackets, and it's opposite of what you see. So if you see a positive 1, it's actually what type of 1? It's actually, if you're thinking a negative 1, that's exactly what we need. So it's the opposite of what you see. So actually, our V isn't going to move right. It's actually going to move left 1. Then our K value is what you see on the outside. Now, am I adding or subtracting anything? In this case, no. So I'm going to say that my K value is going to be 0. Okay, so I'm going to go here. Come on. There we go. Good. All right. So now I have these values. Now the next thing I want to do is go ahead and um, let's write my vertex. In this case, I'm going to write my vertex. So let's say my ordered pair for my vertex is going to be h comma k. In this case, my h value is going to be, let's get a highlighter here, highlighter, there we go. So my h value is right there, my k value is right there, okay? So I'm going to want to have my h comma k, and in this case, I'm going to have my h value is going to be -1, comma, whatever my y value is, or sorry, whatever my k value is, which is 0. So there's different, ways you could remember h comma k. Um, any type of way you want to remember h comma k. Whether it's through the alphabet, h comes before k. Anything like that, where you could kind of, remember how those values are going to kind of go in order. Okay, so once I have my -1 comma 0, I'm going to go ahead and plot that. So my plot, I'm going to plot my vertex in blue, so -1, 0 is right there. Okay, good. So now from that point, where am I going to move? Well, my slope is 1 over what? 1. So it's 1 over 1. So that means I'm going to rise 1 and then run 1, rise 1, then run 1. Okay, so I have, two values to the right of the vertex, and I'm going to come back to my vertex, and then I'm going to go up 1. So I'm going to rise 1, and instead of going right, I'm going to go left 1, up 1, and to the left 1. Good. So now I have the V, and I'm going to go ahead and graph my V like such, and I should be good. Okay, so now I have my graph. Now, looking at these transformations, just looking at this graph, I should have a horizontal shift of 1 to the left. And from my origin, I shift 1 to the left. Good, that's what we did last class. And for my first one, it has a -4, so that's opposite shift, so it should be a shift of to the right, +4. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Each of these, whoa, let's undo that. There we go. In this case, I do not have a vertical shift for either of these because my k value is 0. Good. So let's go again to the next one. So my next one, I am going to kind of go through and do the same thing. So for my a value here, looking through, my a value is going to be 1, because obviously you don't see your number. Now, what is my h value here? Now, do you see a number inside these absolute value brackets? I don't. So if you're adding or subtracting a number inside of the absolute value brackets, when you're adding or subtracting an invisible number, that number is always going to be 0. Okay, good. Now, my k value is what number is on the outside. If you can see, it kind of goes from left to right. A should be there. H is inside the absolute value brackets. K is outside the absolute value brackets. In this case, K is going to be -3. Now, you always have to remember the K value is what you see. So the K value is what you see. The H value is opposite of what you see. In this case, the opposite of 0 is 0, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so then I'm going to go ahead and plot my vertex. In this case, my vertex is going to be 0, 3. Oh, and -3, sorry. Okay, so close parentheses, and I'm going to go ahead and plot that point. So that point is going to be 0, -3. So let me get my pointer, and let's do this one in red. So it's going to be 0, -3. So I'm going to go 0, -3 is right there. Good. Now from here, I'm going to use my slope. So I'm going to go, in this case, my slope is 1 over that over 1. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to go up 1 to the right 1, up 1 to the right 1, up 1 to the right 1. Now you can do a couple, you can do 2 or 3, then come back to the vertex. Okay, then you're going to go up 1 to the left 1 now, up 1 to the left 1. Go one more, up 1 to the left 1, it should form a V like that. You get my lines, and then you go to vertex and draw your V, go to the vertex, draw your V. and I'm good. Now in this case, just looking at my equation, my k value is -3, which means my k value I shift up and down. So it's my vertical shift. So my vertical shift is going to go downward. So I'm going to go down 3, which from the origin I go down 3, and that's where my vertex is. Okay. Let's do one more before I'm going to give you some money problems. So let's try the next one. The next one, I'm going to say, okay, my a value here is going to be 1. Okay, good. Now, what's my h value? My h value is opposite of what you see. So I see a +4. So the opposite of +4 is what type of 4? A -4. Good. So I'm going to write that -4. Come on. Here we go. There we go. Okay. So I have that -4. Now, that's opposite of what you see. Now, your other value, your k value, is going to be what you see. In this case, it's a +2, so your k value is just going to be a +2. Okay? Good. So now the next thing I want to do is to write my vertex. So my vertex is going to be the ordered pair of what? H, k. So you can think Hello Kitty, right? I don't know. Anything that has an H and a K. So think H first, so it's going to be -4, comma, K. So it's going to be K, which is 2. Good. All right. Good. So now my vertex is going to be -4, 2. Good. So I'm going to go ahead and plot that. Let's use red again as well. So I'm going to go ahead and plot -4, 2. So -4, 2 is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2. So it's going to be up 2 right there. So this one is a little bit different. Now I have a H and I have a K. So nothing is very different. All I'm going to do is plot that point. Now from here, my slope is going to be 1/1. So it's going to be up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1. Good. Go back to the vertex, and you're going to do the same thing. Up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1. And I'm going to form a V that looks like. Oh, that's not what I want. Undo. Good. I need that one. It's going to be here. It's going to look something like that. I lost a point, but that's okay. Should look something like that. Okay? So in this case, my horizontal shift should have been left to 4 places because it's opposite of what you see, left, and then up 2. So from the origin, I'm going to go left 4, up 2, and that's where my vertex is. Okay? For any of these, nothing really changed with my V. My V is always the same shape. Excuse me, but the only thing that changes is the placement of your graph. Okay, so the next 2 are going to be money problems. It's going to be $1 each for both of them. Oh, I don't want that. I want green. Let's see if I could handwrite this. That's $1. Okay, good. That's a money problem, and that's a money problem. Good. So these 2 are money problems. Best of luck. Like I said, pause the video as you may want to. Rewind, watch it again. But I do want for you to get both of these correct. I need you to have A, H, and K values, your vertex value, and your graph graphed. All right, good luck, and see you next time.